My name is Andrew Stonson. I want to welcome you to the Global Equity Valuation Competition. What you're going to see now is the finalist presentations. Our contestants have worked very hard and been improving and revising and now are ready to give their presentation. Each of our contestants will have 6 minutes to present, and then we'll have 4 minutes for questions. So if you got questions, you better ask them right when you see them. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time. While each participant is presenting, we've got a team of judges that are watching and scoring the presentations to come up with our final winners. So without further ado, let's get started. Our first finalist to join today is Ennel. Ennel, are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay, so I gotta do one thing. I forgot to pull up my timer, so just give me a second to do that. Hold on, and tell us where you are, and a little, just briefly about yourself.
Hi, my name's Ennel. I'm a student at UNSW, and I'm in Sydney.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, you've got 6 minutes. So I'm going to pull up your presentation, which I'm pulling up right now. And we can see that presentation. What I'm going to try to do is put your face down at the bottom right. And I'm going to remove myself from this and let you go for 6 minutes. Okay? So you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to remove myself now, and so you can start now, and I'll come back in 6 minutes. Go.
Hoa Phat Group, traded as HPG on the Ho Chi Minh City Stock Exchange, is a Vietnamese steel producer. I initiate a buy recommendation with a target price of 35,700 Vietnam dong, which is a 32.7% upside from the current market price as of February 12th. The investment thesis is built around 3 points: volume increase from the new Dung Quất 2 plants, rising margins due to falling raw material costs, and its undervalued status. Starting with volume, the Dung Quất 2 plant has expanded the company's crude steel output, reaching a 23% year-on-year increase in the first 9 months of 2025. And looking forward into 2026, Dung Quất 2's utilization is forecast to increase to 70 to 80%, which will result in a 39% increase in hot rolled coil volumes. This feeds into revenue and EBITDA growth. And importantly, this volume expansion is supported by market demand. Increased public investment disbursement will boost construction demand, and Vietnam's real estate market is expected to enter a new growth cycle in 2026. And the amended construction law, which will be effective from July 2026, will reduce administrative bottlenecks and accelerate project execution. And beyond domestic demand, Hoa Phat Group benefits from anti-dumping duties on Chinese hot-rolled coil, which will reduce the risk of aggressive price competition. As the only private enterprise in Vietnam capable of producing hot-rolled coil, Hoa Phat Group is expected to be able to convert volume increase into profitability rather than mere higher output. And my second point is cost-driven margin increase. Despite relatively flat steel selling prices, as seen in this graph, Hoa Phat Group's margin in 2025 was driven by a decline in raw material costs, particularly iron ore and coking coal. And this trend is expected to continue into 2026, with iron ore projected to decrease by a further 9% and coking coal by 5%. These cost dynamics are structural rather than temporary due to steel oversupply in China and increased mining outputs in Australia and Brazil. This margin improvement is expected to amplify the impact of volume growth on earnings. And as the new Dung Quất 2 plant ramps up, each additional ton of steel would contribute more efficiently to EBITDA. This combination of higher volume and lower unit cost is why Hoa Phat Group's 2026 EBITDA is forecast at 35.5 trillion. And linking these operating drivers to valuation, Hoa Phat Group's share price is being undervalued. As Hoa Phat Group moves past its peak capex phase for Zunque 2, while working capital normalize, an uplift in free cash flow is expected. And using a 13.5% WACC and a 2% terminal growth rate, discounted cash flow produces an enterprise value of 355 trillion Vietnam dong. After adjusting for net debts and cash, its equity value is at around 37,829 Vietnam dong per share. This implies a 40% upside from the current price. And I cross-checked this against relative valuation methods. I chose price-to-book ratio and enterprise value over EBITDA because Hoa Phat Group is a capital-intensive company. And weighing these three methods at 50% discounted cash flow, 25% price-to-book ratio, and a 25% enterprise value over EBITDA, I derive a weighted target price of 35,700 Vietnam dong. I believe that the current market price may not fully reflect the upcoming capacity and reduced costs. And in my view, the market is not fully recognizing Hoa Phat Group's transition into a more cash-generative phase. Therefore, I would like to reiterate my buy recommendation with a target price of 35,700 Vietnam dong. And some of the risks that may happen in these are firstly, the delay or underperformance in the new Zunque 2 plants. The second risk is slower public investment disbursements or property recovery. And the third risk is raw material price being volatile. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, well done. So now you can relax. Well, not yet, because we still have questions. So let me just stop the clock and restart. Okay, so first question is coming in on the questions on the chat, and it says, this is from Roman. He's in US. He said, for Ennel, how can HPG mitigate the effects of any upcoming global downturn while avoiding anti-dumping charges? So he's concerned about, we could be going into an economic downturn.
Yeah, surely. I believe that as a cyclical company, Hoa Phat Group is exposed to macro shocks. But then I believe that as the company is a well-established company, it's not a startup, it will receive preferred debts cost from banks. And it will help to sustain Hoa Phat Group's plan in the future, given the volatility in the markets.
Okay, and some questions from me. One of the questions is, you show the share price chart, and the share price really hasn't moved from what I can see in the recent period. Is that correct? Let's go back to that. Okay. So this is from September, October, November. Okay, so let's say 6 months, the share price is kind of traded in a range. What is the catalyst, or what is it that you think, why do you think that the market isn't seeing what you're talking about?
Yes, firstly, I believe, as I've mentioned, it may underappreciates how Hoa Phat Group is transitioning to a more cash generative phase. And I think another factor, a macro factor, is that the Vietnamese dong, its currency, is being really volatile in the past 6 months. I believe it has increased from the equivalent of 1 USD equivalent to 22,000 Vietnam dong in mid-2025 to 26,000 Vietnam dong as of right now. So I believe investors are hesitant in investing in the markets.
Okay, and can you go down? Let's go through a couple slides. I just want to see a couple things that I was looking at. So let's look at that output chart just for a second. One more up. Keep going up to, yep, go up, up. Yeah, this one. Okay. What's happening? There's some kind of there's the rise in third quarter of 2025. What's going on there, and do you expect that that's going to have any impact on the share price?
Yes, in the third quarter of 2025, the Vietnamese government announced that they will invest in a railway projects across the country. That's why the consumption of steel has gone up. And yes,
Okay,
and I expect it to continue in the future.
Okay, let's keep going to a couple of others, and then we're gonna stop. Okay, just go back to that forecast. Is this your forecast, or is this from an external party?
This is from an external party. This is the forecast of a security company, and
Okay.
I formatted it into a graph.
And for the 2005 numbers, it shows a sizable increase. That's forecasted. This may be a little bit old, but let's say, is that what you're expecting? And if that is the case, why hasn't the share price had some impact from that?
Yes. The 2025 capacity has increased because the new Zunquat 2 plant has began operation, but it's currently at around 30 to 40% capacity. So I believe that's why investors are being hesitant about it, but it is expected that the plant will continue to increase its capacity in the following year.
Okay. Well, congratulations for making that to this point and making that presentation. We have our judges who are watching this, and we're going to go through and judge yours and the others, and then we'll have the results later. How do you feel?
I'm feeling great, and I like the questions as well.
Yes, I'm sure we would get more from the audience, but it's such a short thing that it takes some time to figure out. But Roman is always on, and you got a nice comment here from Hillary, and he says, excellent presentation. So way to go. I'm going to take you out now, and then we're going to go on to the next. But I want to congratulate you for making it to this point. No matter what happens, you're a winner for that. So awesome.
Thank you.
Yep. So that was our first presentation tonight from Ennel, and our judges are going to be considering that presentation. We're going to move on to the next. So I'm going to exit this stream, and then I'm going to see you in the next one. My name is Andrew Stotz, and I hope you will join this competition and make valuation a competitive strategy in your life.